This is pure bull. He wrecked my driver on purpose. I want him out for the next race.
I understand your anger, Christian. We talked to Max, and he insists it was an accident.
He drove for us for a decade. I think I know him pretty well. So what is the punishment then?
We're not banning him for a race. However, we'll be giving him 3 penalty points to his license. That's all you're getting.
F you.
News in Formula One this week. Max Verstappen is hit with 3 penalty points following his crash with Gary Owen in Monaco. And Devin Butler has been cleared to compete in one final race this weekend, as the team hopes to give him a proper send-off to his Formula One career.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F123 Driver Career Mode here on the channel. We have got a packed episode here and a bit of a confusing episode. Fresh off the news there, Verstappen will not face a race ban going into China. As well, Devin Butler has been coming back this weekend for a final proper send-off in Formula One after having a hearing injury that will take him out of the car officially after this episode now, as this will be the final time we see him be on the wheel. He was cleared to at least be well enough to do one final race here today. It has been an up and down season, mainly down. It's not been the season 5 we've been looking for, and things got very confusing here today in China as well, and I'm going to go over that right now. So something went wrong with the modding in the game, and basically following practice, my game started crashing. And you also know the quality is a little bit lower in the video in practice. That's fixed as soon as practice is over. But basically, the game crashed right here, and it continued to do that right through to qualifying, and I couldn't get anything in there. So I eventually, long story short, got it fixed. But that also meant we were starting down in 15th place in the actual Grand Prix, because with all the game crashing, my setup in the car never changed, and I did not realize that. So I had a terrible qualifying effort, and you're not even going to see the qualifying effort. It was abysmal, but P15 is where we ended up. I can say, however, on the positive side, I know what was causing the issue with the mods, and it's already been fixed, so we shouldn't have to deal with it again. But it absolutely ruined the first part of this weekend here in China now, as we're looking for a big comeback weekend after getting wrecked out by Max Verstappen, who we felt did it on purpose to us, of course, now. But you can see the starting grid now. You're with me for the starting grid. You got Albon and Norris there on that front row, and then following through behind from 3rd place on down, it's going to be Aiden Jackson, who's not present, Lewis Hamilton, my teammate of Drugovich, George Russell, Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly, as well as Esteban Ocon, Liam Lawson, Yuki Tsunoda, his teammate of Carlos Sainz there with the BMW, myself, and Joe Guan Yu. Devin Butler in his final race ever in Formula One right here. Armstrong, Hughes, and Calimere round out the rest of the grid. So Butler, like I said, was determined he has to put an end to his Formula One career, but he was cleared to be well enough to at least have a proper send-off and not go out in the fashion that he did in Monaco with the engine failure, which is of course what sent his hearing issue into overdrive, putting him into this scenario. It is very unfortunate for Butler. Connor Sports looking at their replacement. It will be announced after the Chinese Grand Prix. We have the option starting from 15th to go from softs to mediums or mediums to hards. As usual, we're going to go with the medium to hard compound tire strategy and get ready to go forward in China.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tires.
You see very split strategies, top 4 though, however, all on softs. Albon, Norris, Jackson, Hamilton, Drugovich being the first one on the mediums, followed by Russell, several others scattered down the order on mediums.
So as all the cars reform the grids, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring the planned strategies are all in place.
All right, mate, I think we've got the setup the best we can get it now. Aggression is needed today.
Yep, 10-4. I'll get after it here, and we'll see what we can do. Ready to roll then? So P15 on the grid, not exactly where we, of course, want to be. It has just been one of those seasons like we've mentioned already. We had the win in France, and outside of that, things just haven't quite gone our way. In Monaco, we had the run-ins multiple times with Verstappen, of course, now, and that took us out in the end. As we're ready to roll here, 28 laps in the Chinese Grand Prix. It's lights out, we're underway, and it's a decent start. Now we get rolling a little bit there, passing signs. We're going to go split the middle between Tsunoda and the Alfa Romeo Haas of Liam Lawson. Clear into turn one. No, we're not. Crashing into the first corner we go. Major damage on the side and the floor, as well as the front wing torn off. A 5-second time penalty immediately there for both myself and Lawson for the collision. As the safety car deployed early on in this Grand Prix, and already our race is ruined. As you see a look at it right there, we were clear, and by the time I realized we were no longer clear, right there I was already committing to the apex, and you can put the blame on either one, in my opinion, on that one. That one's one of those lap one incidents. I had no idea he was coming up the inside. I don't know what to say. And you can add that onto the list of things that have gone wrong this season. The problem is we've got significant damage, and the car is already a little bit, I would say, behind, because I'm on a preset setup on 104 AI, and it's very hard to be competitive because of the mods that were causing issues. By the way, Liam Lawson would actually DNF under safety car, so his race would be over. He had a mechanical failure, but we would get back rolling for the green flag coming to lap number 4 now, and we'll see what we can do. But right now, Christian Horner actually would give Mark a demand, and Mark would relay that message over to me.
Okay, mate, we've got 5 laps. If we can't get up to within a second of 10th, we will retire the car.
You hear it there. So if we can't get within basically DRS of 10th place by the end of lap 8 or so, we're going to have to retire the car and just focus in on the next race in Canada and save the parts, and because it's going to be a lost cause at this point. And I was struggling immediately. I mean, it took me over a whole lap to get an opportunity to go for what was an aggressive move up the inside of Marcus Armstrong there in the Alfa Romeo Haas. So we move up into P18, but you can tell that the damage and the setup issue with this car is deeming to be a very steep hurdle for this Red Bull Ford, and it was becoming very difficult. Lap 6, I was finally up the inside of the Williams of JQ's Callie Mayer. Devin Butler in his final Grand Prix right here in front of us. I was trying to, hustle, and I was asking for the gap to my teammate a lot to see how much I was losing to my teammate of Drugovich, and the first update I got was about 9.5 seconds. That gap was absolutely skyrocketing here now. As we go up the inside of the Connor Sport machine, we'll pass Callie Mayer, and then we can focus in on her brother of Devin Butler. But now the gap to Drugovich, 11 seconds, and it was just continuing to go up and up and up. It was not pretty, to say the least. So unfortunately, as we come to the next lap, 12.7 seconds as we pass Devin Butler for what should be the final time in his career. We get to pass him. Now the final time will share a track with the British driver here. But unfortunately, the 5 laps is up, and we're only into P15, struggling to run down the Williams of Joe.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we have to retire the car to save parts. Retire the car.
And that's it. We're going to bring it in and retire the car at the end of lap 8. I mean, we were going, forward very, very slowly. It was showing the damage, and the setup was just too much to overcome at that point. I think we could have overcome the setup, but with the damage added on to that, it was impossible. Unfortunate, very unfortunate. We're going to have to focus in on Canada. We're already closing in on the halfway point of the season. We need to figure out something quick because, things are not looking good, and especially when Alex Albon would pick up yet another victory here in China. He is, of course, just on a roll right now. He won the championship last season and has backed it up with dominance so far this season. It really hasn't felt like he's had that much of a competitor outside of myself, to be completely honest. And actually, a bunch of drivers were hit with a 5-second time penalty for running into each other, which I found interesting. Not quite sure exactly what happened there. But Drugovich ended up down in 8th place, while you can see Norris and Russell there 4th and 5th. Hamilton as well on the podium. We're going to jump straight through into qualifying in the Canadian Grand Prix, looking for some, good fortune, get the season back on track. We could leave today if things go wrong today. we could be over 100 points behind the championship lead, which would be absolutely embarrassing in what I still believe is a championship caliber car, and it's proving that. It's just not working. We come through, though, into qualifying, and Connor Sport brought their new driver as well, Jake Doohan. And look at this. He goes P12 in his first qualifying effort. So a very impressive qualifying effort already from Jack Doohan. I don't know why I said Jake Doohan. Jack Doohan out there on the 12th spot. But he would actually be down in about P15 in Q2 because that would shatter his dreams. And we come through into Q3 with no issues there. As you can see, he would end up P14 though. So Gasly down in 15th place. Ocon, Sainz, Tsunoda all out as well. I had high hopes, I want to perform in front of the home crowd, of course. Now in my first lap here in Q3, the just kind of warm up, get to grips lap and make sure we get something in. And it was actually a relatively solid first lap here in Q3 as we would roll through the final chicane. Got through there pretty well. A little hesitant on throttle on the exit, but as we head back to the stripe, we cross the line P6, so very happy with that. My second lap, however, looking for a bit more pace. Now, the run down towards turn number 1, we don't find any time quite yet through these first couple of corners, but now we start to gain time, 0.2 of a second gain already. We would lose a little bit, but then we would gain some back, and we would start to really reel in the time in the last half the lap or so through the chicane. 0.4 now, nearly half a second gain, just about there. And as we go down through the final hairpin, now getting ready for that long run down towards the chicane, there's a half a second that we're looking for, and we would add it up to about 6 to 7 tenths and a half, nearly 8 tenths gain. It will be 8 tenths gain, just about to the line. That goes P1 pole position. Will that stick? Russell would go P2, Albon to the line, and Albon goes pole. So it's not going to be pole number 3 on the season, but it is going to be a front row start, while Russell, Norris, Leclerc, Verstappen, Drugovich, Piastri, Jackson, and Hamilton all behind. I want revenge on Max Verstappen for what happened in Monaco. We didn't get a chance last episode, or in China, and I don't think we will today either. Let's head to the grid.
Montreal is not only the second largest French-speaking city in the world, but it's home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. The name Villeneuve looms large over this one, but who can write their own legends today? We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles per hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions, and watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and that final chicane. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Alex Albon leads us away from pole position, and Golden Boy completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Norris, Leclerc, Verstappen, Drugovich, Oscar Piastri, Jackson, Hamilton, Ocon, Sainz, Tsunoda, Doohan, Gasly, Mayer, Armstrong, Joe, Liam Lawson, and Jake Hughes. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
We're ready to roll then here from the Canadian Grand Prix, and we have yet to win in front of the home crowd. Last season we had a very real opportunity to do it, but we blew it right at the end against Aiden Jackson, who went on a tear. I don't want to let the home crowd down today. Rain is coming, but we're going to be sticking with mediums to hards, because you never know when that rain's going to come on an approximate strategy, as you see some drivers on softs, but everybody mainly going on to the mediums. Alright guys, I mean, we've won once this year, but today's the real day to turn things around.
I agree. No, get it done for the home crowd.
Ready to roll in Montreal here in Circuit Gilles Villeneuve as we are ready to roll. The question is, when is the rain going to come as well? But we'll focus on that a little bit later. We're more focused on getting Albon on the run down towards turn number 1. 5 red lights here for the Canadian Grand Prix. It's underway. You saw a bit of rear wheel spin there from Albon that allows me to get rolling, but he's going to fight back on the run down towards the corner. Here we go, side by side, nearly contact, but we are clean and green as we come through these opening corners. Albon with the run off the corner there, stays stays ahead, but we at least hang on to P2. Leclerc in third. You got the Mercedes duo of Russell and Norris just behind. We know Mercedes has really picked things up this season with their brand new title sponsor, of course, Monster Energy now, but we haven't quite seen them get to that top step of the podium. I mean, McLaren's just been on top of things here, and I'm hearing we might see some news from McLaren going into the next episode. That's going to be like pretty big news, actually, from the sounds of things. So we'll have to wait and see now as we head into what will be, that should be, I think, the Austrian Grand Prix. So I'm excited to see what McLaren is going to announce. It sounds like it's something that's coming for the next season of the career mode. Nonetheless, 35 laps of racing here. Leclerc just behind on softs, and those softs really weren't doing much for him, and he was actually already about to come under attack from George Russell, who was about 8 to 7 tenths of a second behind him. But we complete lap 2, and we're sticking within striking distance here of Alex Albon. Now, as you can see, DRS now enabled on lap 3, and the gap was starting to come down a little bit here between himself and I. Lando Norris, however, who was P5, was under attack from Max Verstappen here in the Ferrari. So Verstappen, so lucky to not get that race ban going into China. Really should have, in my opinion, but he did get those penalty points, of course, there to his license, which really isn't going to do much. But you can see Norris continuing to struggle. He loses a spot to my teammate Drugovich. Hamilton with a bad chicane loses a spot as well. Everyone's just all over each other here on lap 4 on the rundown into turn 1. And Jackson, who had a rough qualifying effort, he's going to move through into P7, passing Norris, putting him down into 8th position. Now we start lap 5, and look at the gap continuously coming down between myself and Albon, who kind of slips the rear end out there going down into the corner. But it's about to be game on here between myself and the McLaren. As you can see, DRS wide open on the long back straightaway here, and we are within striking distance to take the lead of this Canadian Grand Prix. A little bit wide, however, on the apex, so that would kind of delay our opportunity to take the lead for a little bit longer here. But you can see with the DRS assistance and just downright a good car, things are looking very, very promising here in the Canadian Grand Prix today. And now, as we come through the chicane on lap 7, get that rear wing open right there under the crypto sign. And you can see, I mean, right here within a couple of car lengths now, it's all about patience now. We don't want to make an aggressive move when we got a lot of time to kind of utilize to our advantage here. And here's the wide open opportunity. Now we're going to look to the left side of Albon here on the long back stretch here down towards the chicane. Is he going to fight it, or is he going to let us have it? He's actually going to let us have it. Albon banks out of it and says, you know what, you go for it, and see you later, Alex Albon, because we're going to try and drive away now and go take off in the distance and just get this Canadian Grand Prix, done. Get the win number 2 on the season. It would be if we could pull it off today, which would be really strange. We are now coming off of back-to-back DNFs in China, as well as Monaco. Yellow flags in the background. That's Jack Doohan, actually. Jack Doohan with a mechanical failure in his first ever race in Formula 1 after what was looking like to be an impressive weekend in his new ride with Connor Sport. Very unfortunate there, as Devin Butler now is into a manager role, actually, within that team. So he's still involved with this Connor Sport team, going forward for whatever the future is with that team, which does not look healthy right now, that's for sure, but we'll have to stay tuned. The gap to Albon increasing over 3.5 seconds between himself and I. As you can see, the cloud cover quickly coming in. Rain is not far out at this point. So rain, I was being told by Mark it was about 10 minutes out. So we knew it was coming, but our pit window opens right here at lap 18. And we're going to put on hards anyways because I'm not taking any risks today with the way the season has gone. Albon's just pitting now. So Albon actually pits a lap earlier than I expected to see him come into the pits. So he's going to be putting on the hard compound tire, and we're going to follow through at the end of lap 18 and do the exact same thing. We're going to come in, we're going to put on that hard compound tire and just wait for the rain. We know the rain's coming, but the question is, it's only light rain, so will it actually get wet enough for it to, need to be going on to an intermediate compound tire? That's why I wanted to play it safe and stick with the hard tire instead of going for maybe a soft. But you can see we come out behind George Russell. Albon, who was about 5 seconds back when he finally pitted, is within only 3 seconds of myself. So he was really able to cut that gap down, and then I go a little bit deep there into the chicane, so that would allow him to close in a little bit more. But lap 20 now, Russell's still on track. I think Russell's trying to push his mediums a little bit further to see if he can survive into the rain as Albon on those hards as well was closing the gap quite significantly now. 1.1 seconds between himself and Russell in. They can't make it to the rain with the Mercedes team as we continue back into the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. When does the rain come? That's the question. We know it's coming at any moment. Lap 22 at this point, and now only half a second between myself and Albon. I was kind of hoping the rain was going to start falling now because he is really starting to put some pressure on the back of myself here, and sure enough, the rain starts to fall here on this 22nd lap, about halfway through the lap it was. So very, very happy to see that. And the question now is, of course, when is the track going to, get to a point where we're going to need some wet tires? As you can see, we're struggling already for grip very quickly. Lap 23 this was, and that's only, one full lap of rain so far, and it didn't look visually really different, but as we come through to the end of lap 23, it's actually get a warning for track limits. You can see right here, the track is hitting that point of changeable conditions, and by the end of that same lap, lap 24, the track was absolutely soaked. So we have to come in, we're going to go and put on the intermediate compound tire, and look at this, Albon stays out. Albon's not coming in, and just as that's happening, DRS is getting disabled, so we have pitted at the absolute perfect time here now as the inters go on, and we're going to get back rolling, and now we're going to be able to build up a nice gap to Albon and others. Leclerc stays out, and so does George Russell. So Leclerc, he's 4.9, 4.6, 4.5. You get the gist of it. The intermediate compound tire is making a massive difference. We are absolutely flying compared to Leclerc and Albon. By the end of the lap, we had run down Leclerc on the straightaway. We're going to look to the right side. Albon's into the pits now in the Trackhouse machine. Leclerc looking to get another podium this season. He is going to be coming into the pits as well. I'm giving him the room he needs, but that gives me a really awkward line. I got really lucky to not get a corner cut right there on the chicane, but nonetheless, back into the lead again of the Canadian Grand Prix here in Montreal. So we're very, very happy with how things are going. With only 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix, finally, things are back on track, and it looks like we might very well be in position to get win number 2 of the season, as Albon is nearly 6 seconds behind, so we just basically need to not choke or have anything go wrong at this point.
Sorry, mate. Don't know what to say at this point.
I don't know what to say either. That's our first mechanical failure of the season, and I don't think we could have chosen a worse time, for it to happen. Fresh off of getting wrecked by Verstappen in Monaco, and then, my own doing in China, and now this. That's 3 now consecutive DNFs in what has turned into an abysmal season. We had that high moment in France where we got back to the top step, and then immediately it's a big reality check saying, this is just not your season. Season 5 has not gone the way we would have liked it to have gone so far. Here's the positive. The negative is Albon's won again. And it's actually Trackhouse on podium with Leclerc, our teammate of Dragovic on the podium as well. But here's a major positive, is we've still got 9 races to go. Now, the problem is we're going to be over 100 points behind Albon in the championship at this point because he's just been so dominant. He's been absolutely manhandling everybody this season. But honestly, we're over 100 points back, and we're going to take a look at the point standings. We're only like 60-ish points out from second place. So it's not the end of the world. Honestly, I have belief we can still go for this, and we're 109 points back. The only way this is going to be possible is if we go on an absolute miracle run, but in a video game, I believe in miracles, and that's the focus of these next 9 races. Is we're going to go into Austria. We're going to take a break, not from making videos, but we're going to have a mental break going into next episode, which you'll kind of see a reset. And we're gonna figure this out. It's not over. I'm more determined now than I've ever been to go and win a championship in an F1 game. So we're gonna pull it off. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.